First contact. The vastness of space stretched out before Captain Lyra Chen as she stood on the bridge of the ESS Horizon, Earth's most advanced deep space exploration vessel. Stars twinkled in the distance, each a potential harbor for undiscovered worlds and civilizations. Lyra's heart raced with excitement and a touch of apprehension. This mission would take humanity further than it had ever ventured before. Captain, we're approaching the outer reaches of the Andromeda Galaxy. First Officer Raj Patel reported, his voice steady but tinged with awe. Lyra nodded, her dark eyes scanning the readouts on the holographic displays surrounding her. Maintain course, Mr. Patel. Let's see what secrets this new frontier holds for us. As the Horizon glided silently through the cosmic expanse, none of its crew could have predicted the momentous encounter that awaited them. They were about to make history, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. Alarms suddenly blared across the bridge, startling the crew from their focused tasks. Unidentified object approaching at high speed called out Ensign Sarah Lee from her station at sensors. On screen, Lyra commanded, her posture straightening as adrenaline surged through her body. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a sleek, silvery vessel unlike anything they had ever seen. It was easily 3 times the size of the Horizon, its hull adorned with intricate, glowing patterns that pulsed with an otherworldly energy. "My God," Raj whispered, voicing the collective awe of the bridge crew. Lyra's mind raced. First contact. This was the moment every space explorer dreamed of, yet feared in equal measure. Humanity's first encounter with an alien civilization. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on her shoulders. "Open all frequencies," she ordered, her voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. "This is Captain Lyra Chen of the Earth spaceship Horizon. We come in peace, seeking friendship and knowledge." For several tense moments, there was no response. The alien ship continued its approach, its intentions unknown. Then, without warning, a beam of shimmering light engulfed the horizon. Crew members gasped, some reaching for weapons, but Lyra held up a hand, signaling them to wait. "Our systems are still operational," Raj reported, checking his console. "It doesn't appear to be a weapon." Before Lyra could respond, a figure materialized on the bridge. Tall and imposing, with iridescent skin and 4 arms, the alien regarded them with multifaceted eyes that seemed to shimmer with intelligence. "I am Zoltar, emissary of the Zorax Imperium," the being spoke, its voice resonating in their minds rather than their ears. "You have entered our space, humans of Earth." Lyra stepped forward, her chin held high. "Emissary Zoltar, we apologize for any intrusion. We are explorers, seeking to learn about the universe and its inhabitants." Zoltar's head tilted, a gesture that seemed both curious and calculating. "Explorers, your species is young to have ventured so far." "We may be young," Lyra replied, a hint of pride in her voice, "but we are eager to learn and grow. We hope to forge friendships with those we encounter." The alien's multifaceted eyes seemed to study her intently. "Intriguing. Your kind possesses a unique energy. Perhaps there is value in further discourse." As Lyra and Zoltar continued their exchange, the crew of the Horizon watched in amazement. This was history in the making, the dawn of a new era for humanity. Over the next several hours, Lyra and her senior staff engaged in preliminary discussions with Zoltar. They learned that the Zorax were an ancient and powerful civilization, guardians of a significant portion of the Andromeda Galaxy. Their technology was centuries, if not millennia, beyond Earth's current capabilities. "Your arrival is fortuitous," Zoltar communicated as their initial meeting drew to a close. "The galaxy faces challenges that may require new perspectives." Lyra's interest was piqued. What kind of challenges? Zoltar's form seemed to shimmer, an indication of what Lyra had come to recognize as hesitation. "There are forces at work that threaten the balance we have long maintained. But such matters are not for initial encounters. You will learn more in time." As Zoltar prepared to depart, It extended one of its 4 arms towards Lyra. "The Zorax High Council extends an invitation to you, Captain Chen. Come to our homeworld. Let us explore the potential of our people's cooperation." Lyra's heart raced at the prospect. This was beyond anything she or her crew could have imagined when they set out on this mission. "We would be honored, Emissary Zoltar." As the alien's form disappeared, transported back to its own ship, an excited murmur broke out among the Horizon's crew. Raj approached Lyra, his expression a mix of excitement and concern. "Captain, are you sure about this? We know almost nothing about the Zorax or their intentions." Lyra turned to her first officer, a determined glint in her eye. "Raj, this is why we're out here. To make new discoveries, to push the boundaries of human knowledge and experience. Yes, there are risks, but the potential benefits to humanity are immeasurable." She addressed the entire bridge crew. "I know this is unexpected and perhaps a little frightening, but we've just made first contact with an advanced alien civilization, and they've invited us to their homeworld. This is the stuff of dreams, people. We're about to go where no humans have gone before." The crew's apprehension seemed to melt away, replaced by a sense of excitement and purpose. They were pioneers at the forefront of humanity's greatest adventure. Over the next few days, as the Horizon followed the Zorax ship towards their homeworld, Lyra and her team worked tirelessly. They compiled all the information they had gathered about the Zorax, prepared detailed reports for Earth's leaders, and tried to anticipate the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. Lyra spent hours in her ready room, recording log entries and personal messages. In one such recording, she sat before the camera, her usually neat hair slightly disheveled from long hours of work. "Personal log, Captain Lyra Chen. We're en route to the Zorax homeworld, and I can hardly believe I'm saying those words. The significance of what's happening is almost overwhelming. We've dreamed of this moment for centuries, wondering if we were alone in the universe. Now we know we're not, and we're about to step into a larger galactic community." She paused, her gaze drifting to the stars streaking by her window. "I feel the weight of every human who ever looked up at the night sky and wondered. Every scientist who dedicated their life to the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Every dreamer who imagined this very scenario. We carry their hopes and dreams with us. But I also feel a sense of caution. The Zorax are far more advanced than us, and their motivations are still unclear. Are we walking into an opportunity or a trap? Either way, we must proceed. The potential benefits for humanity are too great to ignore." As she concluded her log entry, Lyra allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The vastness of space outside her window seemed to mirror the enormous possibilities and potential dangers that lay ahead. Whatever awaited them on the Zorax homeworld would change the course of human history forever. The journey to the Zorax homeworld took several weeks, even with the advanced propulsion systems of both ships. During this time, Lyra and her crew had several more interactions with Zoltar and other Zorax representatives via holographic communications. They learned more about Zorax culture and history, though many details remained shrouded in mystery. The Zorax were a species driven by order and efficiency, with a complex social hierarchy based on individual capabilities and contributions to their society. They valued strength, both physical and mental, and seemed both impressed and puzzled by humanity's more emotionally driven nature. As they neared their destination, Ensign Lee approached Lyra on the bridge, her young face a mix of excitement and nervousness. "Captain, I've been analyzing the data we've collected on the Zorax ship's energy emissions. Their technology, it's like nothing we've ever seen. The power output is off the charts." Lyra nodded, understanding the implications. "It's a reminder of how much we have to learn, Ensign, but also of how much we might be able to achieve with new knowledge and allies." Finally, after weeks of anticipation, the moment arrived. The horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel, and before them loomed a sight that took their breath away. The Zorax homeworld was a planet of breathtaking beauty. From space, it appeared as a swirling marble of deep purples and vibrant blues, with rings of shimmering energy encircling it. Surrounding the planet was a vast network of space stations and satellites, a testament to the Zorax's advanced civilization. "My God," Raj breathed, echoing the sentiment of everyone on the bridge. "It's beautiful." Lyra stood from her captain's chair, her eyes fixed on the stunning view before them. "Indeed it is, Mr. Petal, and we're about to become the first humans to set foot on its surface." As they approached the planet, a message came through from Zoltar. "Captain Chen, welcome to Zorax Prime. Prepare your landing party. We await your arrival with great anticipation." Lyra took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. This was it, the moment that would go down in human history. "Mr. Patel, you have the bridge. Ensign Lee, Dr. Mbake, you're with me. Let's go make history." As Lyra and her small team boarded the shuttle that would take them to the planet's surface, she felt a mix of emotions she had never experienced before. Excitement, fear, hope, and an overwhelming sense of responsibility. They were no longer just representing their ship or even Earth, but all of humanity. The shuttle descended through the planet's atmosphere, offering them a closer view of the alien landscape. Massive crystalline structures rose from the surface, interconnected by streams of energy. The geography was like nothing they had seen before, with floating islands and rivers that seemed to flow upward against gravity. They landed on a platform that appeared to be made of some sort of living metal, pulsing with energy beneath their feet. As the shuttle doors opened, Lyra took the first step onto the alien world. The air was breathable, as they had been assured, but it carried a slight metallic taste. The gravity was a bit stronger than Earth's, making their movements feel heavier. Before them stood a delegation of Zorax, led by Zoltar. The aliens were even more impressive up close, that iridescent skin-shifting colors in the light of their binary suns. Zoltar stepped forward, its four arms moving in a complex gesture that Lyra assumed was a form of greeting. "Captain Chen, on behalf of the Zorax Imperium, I bid you welcome to our world. Your arrival marks the beginning of a new era for both our peoples." Lyra responded with a respectful nod, her voice clear and strong despite the enormity of the moment. "Thank you, Emissary Zoltar. We come in peace and friendship, eager to learn and hopeful for a future of cooperation between our civilizations." As Lyra and her team were led towards a towering structure that seemed to defy the laws of physics as they understood them, she couldn't help but feel that they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and nothing would ever be the same again. The first contact between humans and the Zorax was just the beginning. As Lyra and her team were about to discover, the galaxy was a far more complex and dangerous place than they had ever imagined. Their journey was only just beginning, and the challenges that lay ahead would test the very limits of human ingenuity and determination. Cultural exchange. The crystalline spires of the Zorax capital city stretched impossibly high into the alien sky, their surfaces shimmering with an inner light that pulsed in complex patterns. Captain Lyra Chen, along with Ensign Sarah Lee and Dr. Adebayo Mbake, followed their Zorax hosts through corridors that seemed to shift and change as they walked. "It's as if the entire city is alive," Dr. Mbake murmured, his scientist's mind racing to understand the advanced technologies surrounding them. Zoltar, leading the group, turned its multifaceted eyes towards them. "In a sense it is, Dr. Mbake. Our structures are symbiotic creations, merging organic and inorganic elements in ways your science has yet to conceive." The implications of such technology were staggering. Lyra could already imagine the potential benefits for Earth: self-repairing buildings, cities that could adapt to environmental changes, perhaps even solutions to their energy crisis. They were led into a vast chamber where several other Zorax waited. Unlike Zoltar, who wore simple, functional attire, these beings were adorned with intricate, shimmering garments that seemed to flow like liquid metal. "The High Council," Zoltar announced telepathically. "They will evaluate your potential as allies." Lyra straightened her posture, acutely aware that she was representing not just her crew, but all of humanity in this moment. "We're honored to meet you," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. One of the council members, distinguished by a glowing crest on its head, stepped forward. "I am Sela, first voice of the High Council. Your arrival has sparked much debate among our people, Captain Chen. Some see potential in your species, others see risk." Lyra nodded, understanding the implications. "We come seeking friendship and knowledge," first voice Sela. "Humanity has much to learn, but we also have much to offer." "Indeed." Another council member interjected, its tone skeptical. "Your species is young, barely able to reach beyond your own star system. What could you possibly offer a civilization as advanced as ours?" Before Lyra could respond, Dr. Mbake stepped forward. "If I may, Captain." At Lyra's nod, he addressed the council. "It's true that our technology may seem primitive compared to yours, but humanity's strength lies in our adaptability and creativity. We've overcome countless challenges in our history, often finding unconventional solutions to problems that seemed insurmountable." Ensign Lee, usually reserved in such formal settings, found the courage to speak up. "We also value diversity of thought. Our greatest achievements often come from collaboration between different cultures and viewpoints." The council members exchanged looks, that iridescent skin flickering with colors that Lyra suspected represented their emotions. Finally, Sela spoke again. "Your words are intriguing. We propose an exchange of knowledge. You will be granted access to certain areas of our city to observe and learn. In return, we wish to study your ways, to understand what makes your species unique." Over the next several days, Lyra and her team were given a whirlwind tour of Zorak society. They visited research facilities where the boundaries of physics were pushed beyond anything they had imagined possible. They observed educational centers where young Zoraks interfaced directly with the living city, absorbing knowledge at an astonishing rate. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Cultural misunderstandings were frequent and sometimes tense. The Zoraks valued efficiency above all else, and often found human emotions and social niceties to be wasteful or illogical. During a visit to a Zoraks manufacturing plant, Ensign Lee's fascination with a particular piece of technology led to an awkward moment. She reached out to touch a pulsing crystal, only to be sharply reprimanded by their Zoraks guide. "Apologies," Lyra quickly interjected, placing a calming hand on Sarah's shoulder. "Humans are tactile learners. We often understand things better by touch." The Zoraks guide's skin flickered with colors of confusion and mild disgust. Inefficient and potentially dangerous. Knowledge should be absorbed through direct neural interface, not primitive physical interaction. Dr. Mbeke, ever the diplomat, tried to bridge the gap. "Perhaps this is an opportunity for both our species to learn. Your methods of knowledge transfer are certainly more efficient, but our physical interaction with our environment has led to many of our most important discoveries and innovations." This exchange was typical of many they experienced. The Zoraks were often dismissive of human methods, seeing them as primitive and inefficient. Yet, there were moments when the aliens showed glimmers of curiosity about the human way of doing things. One such moment came during a shared meal, a concession to human custom that the Zoraks had reluctantly agreed to. As Lyra and her team sampled strange but delicious alien fruits, they engaged in conversation with a group of Zoraks scientists. "Your method of verbal communication is so imprecise," one of the Zoraks noted, its telepathic voice tinged with a mix of fascination and frustration. "How do you convey complex ideas without direct thought transference?" Lyra smiled, an expression that still seemed to puzzle their hosts. "It's true that our method of communication can sometimes lead to misunderstandings, but it also allows for nuance, for metaphor and analogy. Some of our greatest ideas have come from the creative use of language." To demonstrate, she turned to Dr. Mbeke. "Doctor, could you explain the concept of human music to our hosts?" Mbeke's eyes lit up at the challenge. "Certainly, Captain. You see, he addressed the Zorax. Music is a form of communication that transcends language. It's mathematical in its structure, but emotional in its impact. It can convey feelings and ideas that words alone cannot express. The Zorax listened with growing interest as Mbeke hummed a simple melody, explaining the concepts of rhythm, harmony, and emotional resonance. To the human's surprise, one of the younger Zorax scientists began to emit a series of harmonic tones in response, its skin pulsing with patterns that seemed to match the rhythm. Fascinating, the lead Zorax scientist said, its telepathic voice filled with genuine curiosity. This music seems to be a form of emotional mathematics. Perhaps there is more to your methods of expression than we initially assumed. As the days passed, more such moments of connection occurred. The Zorax began to see that while human methods might be less efficient in some ways, they often led to unexpected insights and innovations. In turn, Lyra and her team were constantly amazed by Zorax capabilities. They witnessed feats of engineering that seemed like magic. Entire buildings rearranged at will, energy manipulated in ways that defied their understanding of physics. During one memorable exchange, Ensign Lee was permitted to interface with the Zorax educational system. As the young ensign's mind was flooded with information, her eyes widened in wonder. "It's incredible," she gasped as the interface ended. "I feel like I've learned more in those few minutes than I did in years of study on Earth." The Zorax instructor nodded, its skin pulsing with colors that the humans had come to recognize as approval. "Your mind adapted quickly to the interface, most impressive for a species unused to such methods." Lyra watched this exchange with a mixture of pride and concern. The potential benefits of such technology were enormous, but so were the potential risks. How would humanity handle such rapid advancement? Would they use it wisely, or would it lead to unforeseen consequences? As their visit neared its end, Lyra was summoned once again before the High Council. This time, the atmosphere felt different. The initial skepticism had been replaced by a cautious optimism. "Captain Chen," Seda began, "your time among us has been enlightening. We have observed your adaptability, your creativity, and your unique perspectives. While your species is indeed young, we see potential in you." Lyra felt a surge of hope. "Thank you," first voiced Sela. "We've learned so much during our time here, and we're eager to continue this exchange of knowledge and ideas." Sela's form shimmered, a gesture Lyra had come to recognize as their equivalent of a nod. "We propose a continued alliance between our peoples. There is much you can learn from us, and perhaps much we can learn from you as well." But before Lyra could respond, alarms began to blare throughout the chamber. The Zorax council members' skin flashed with urgent patterns, their mental voices overlapping in a cacophony of concern. "What's happening?" Lyra asked, her captain's instincts kicking in. Sela turned to her, its multifaceted eyes glowing with an intensity she hadn't seen before. "A grave threat approaches, Captain Chen, one that may require the combined efforts of both our peoples to overcome." As if on cue, a holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber. It showed a star system at the edge of Zorax space, and approaching it was something, a vast dark mass that seemed to devour light itself. "The Void Eaters," Sela said, its mental voice filled with a dread that chilled Lyra to her core. "They have returned." Lyra stared at the image, her mind racing. Whatever this threat was, it was clear that humanity had just been thrust onto a much larger, much more dangerous galactic stage. The cultural exchange that had begun as a diplomatic mission had suddenly become something far more crucial. She turned to Xela, her voice firm with resolve. "Tell us everything you know about these Void Eaters. If our peoples are to face this threat together, we need to understand what we're up against." As the Zorax began to share their knowledge of this ancient enemy, Lyra couldn't help but think of her crew back on the horizon of Earth, blissfully unaware of the danger lurking in the depths of space. The alliance between humans and Zorax was about to be tested in ways neither species could have anticipated. The cultural exchange had opened doors and built bridges between their civilizations. Now, those newly forged bonds would be put to the ultimate test. As Lyra listened to the Zorak's account of the Void Eaters, she steeled herself for the challenges ahead. Humanity's first steps into the galactic community had led them not just to wonders beyond imagination, but to terrors beyond comprehension. The next phase of their journey was about to begin, and the fate of not just Earth, but perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. Galactic Crisis. The holographic display in the Zorak's High Council chamber pulsed with ominous energy, depicting the relentless advance of the Void Eaters. Captain Lyra Chen, along with her team and the Zorak's leadership, watched in grim silence as entire star systems winked out of existence, consumed by the encroaching darkness. "They are unlike any foe you have encountered, Captain Chen." Zilla's telepathic voice resonated with barely contained dread. The Void Eaters do not conquer or destroy in the conventional sense. They consume. Entire planets, stars, even the fabric of space-time itself becomes fuel for their insatiable hunger. Dr. Mbeke stepped closer to the hologram, his scientific curiosity warring with horror. How is this possible? It defies all known laws of physics. A Zorak scientist, its skin rippling with patterns of deep indigo, a color the humans had come to associate with intense concentration, responded, "The Void Eaters exist partially outside our dimension. They feed on the very essence of reality, growing stronger with each system they devour." Lyra's mind raced, trying to grasp the magnitude of the threat. "You faced them before?" she asked, turning to Xela. The first voice's multifaceted eyes dimmed slightly. "Centuries ago, we drove them back at great cost, but it seems they have returned, stronger than ever." Ensign Lee, who had been analyzing the data streaming across her handheld device, looked up with a start. "Captain, at their current rate of advance, they'll reach Earth in less than a year." The realization hit Lyra like a physical blow. Earth, with its billions of inhabitants, blissfully unaware of the cosmic horror bearing down upon them. She straightened her posture, her voice firm with resolve. "We need to warn Earth immediately, and we need a plan to stop these Void Eaters." Xela's form shimmered, a gesture of agreement. "Indeed, but first, you must understand the true nature of our enemy." Over the next several hours, Lyra and her team were briefed on the history and nature of the Void Eaters. They learned of ancient battles, of entire civilizations lost to the cosmic devourers, of desperate measures taken to hold back the tide of oblivion. The Zoraks, for all their advanced technology, had barely managed to repel the last invasion. Their tactics, honed over millennia of maintaining galactic order, proved nearly useless against an enemy that didn't fight in any conventional sense. As the briefing concluded, Lyra felt the weight of responsibility settling heavily on her shoulders. She was no longer just a starship captain or even an ambassador for Earth. She had become humanity's first line of defense against an existential threat. "We need to return to the horizon," Lyra announced. "We must inform Earth and begin preparations immediately." Tilar nodded, its skin pulsing with colors of agreement and urgency. "We will provide you with all the data we have on the Void Eaters. Your ship's systems will be upgraded to allow faster-than-light communication with Earth. Time is of the essence." As they prepared to depart, Zoltar approached Lyra. "Captain Chen, I will accompany you to your ship. The High Council believes my expertise will be valuable in the coming conflict." Lyra nodded, grateful for the support. "Thank you, Emissary Zoltar. We'll need all the help we can get." The journey back to the horizon was tense, filled with urgent planning and data analysis. As soon as they boarded, Lyra called an emergency meeting of her senior staff. In the ship's conference room, faces grew pale and jaws clenched as Lyra and her team relayed what they had learned. First Officer Raj Patel, who had maintained the ship in orbit during their planet-side mission, was the first to speak after the briefing. "With all due respect, Captain, this sounds impossible. Creatures that eat reality itself, how can we possibly fight something like that?" Lyra understood his skepticism. Just days ago, she would have had the same reaction. I know it sounds incredible, Raj, but I've seen the evidence with my own eyes. The threat is real, and it's coming for us all. Dr. Mbake pulled up a holographic display showing the upgraded star charts provided by the Zorax. The Void Eater's path of destruction is clear. If we don't find a way to stop them, Earth will be in their path sooner than we'd like to think. Ensign Lee, her young face set with determination, spoke up. The Zorax have provided us with schematics for weapons that can at least slow the Void Eaters down. If we can get this information back to Earth, we might have a chance to prepare. Lyra nodded, a plan forming in her mind. All right, here's what we're going to do. Raj, set a course for Earth maximum speed. Sarah, I want you and the engineering team to study those weapon schematics. See if you can find any way to improve them. Dr. Mbake, work with Zoltar to analyze everything we know about the Void Eaters. Look for weaknesses, anything we can exploit. As her crew sprang into action, Lyra retreated to her ready room to compose the most important message of her life. She sat before the communication terminal, gathering her thoughts. How does one inform Earth's leaders that an incomprehensible cosmic horror is bearing down on them? To the United Earth Government and all sovereign nations of Earth, she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of her words. This is Captain Lyra Chen of the ESS Horizon. I bring news of critical importance to the future of our entire species. Over the next hour, Lyra detailed everything they had learned about the Void Eaters, the Zorax, and the impending threat to Earth. She emphasized the need for immediate action, for unity in the face of this unprecedented danger. As she concluded her message, Lyra felt a mix of emotions she had never experienced before. Fear for what lay ahead, determination to face the challenge, and a profound sense of responsibility. The fate of humanity might well rest on how Earth's leaders responded to her warning. With the message sent, using the Zorax's advanced communication technology to bypass the normal delays of interstellar communication, Lyra rejoined her crew on the bridge. The Horizon was racing back towards Earth, pushing its engines to their limits. Days passed in a blur of activity. The crew worked around the clock, studying the Zorax data, running simulations, and preparing for the monumental task ahead. Zoltar proved an invaluable resource, its vast knowledge helping to bridge the gap between Zorax and human technology. It was during one of these marathon research sessions that a breakthrough came. Ensign Lee burst into the conference room where Lyra was conferring with Zoltar and Dr. Mbake. Captain, I think we found something. Sarah's eyes were wide with excitement and lack of sleep. She pulled up a holographic display showing a complex energy pattern. We've been analyzing the Void Eater's energy signature. There's a fluctuation, a moment of vulnerability just before they begin to consume a star system. Dr. Mbake leaned in, his scientific curiosity piqued. Fascinating. It's as if they have to shift partially into our dimension to begin feeding. Zoltar's multifaceted eyes gleamed with interest. This could be significant. In all our centuries of fighting the Void Eaters, we never noticed this pattern. Lyra felt a spark of hope for the first time since learning of the threat. Good work, Sarah. This could be the key we need. If we can exploit this vulnerability, we might have a chance of stopping them. But their moment of optimism was short-lived. The ship's alarms blared, and Rage's voice came over the intercom. Captain, to the bridge, immediately. Lyra rushed to the bridge, the others close behind. The main view screen showed a sight that made her blood run cold. A Zorax outpost, one they had passed on their journey back to Earth, was under attack, but not by the Void Eaters. A swarm of ships, unlike anything they had seen before, was laying siege to the Zorax defenses. They moved with an organic fluidity, their hulls seeming to shift and change as they fought. What in the world? Lyra breathed, trying to make sense of what she was seeing. Zoltar stepped forward, its mental voice filled with a mixture of recognition and dread. Voidborn, creatures twisted and corrupted by proximity to the Void Eaters. They serve as harbingers, weakening defenses before the main force arrives. Lyra watched in horror as the Voidborn ships tore through the Zorak's defenses with terrifying ease. The outpost's distress calls filled the bridge, cries for help that they were too far away to answer. "Can we assist?" Rage asked, his hands hovering over the helm controls. Lyra wanted nothing more than to rush to the aid of the Zorak's outpost. But she knew they carried information vital to Earth's survival. They couldn't risk being delayed or destroyed. "Negative," she said, the words tasting bitter in her mouth. "We can't engage. Our mission is too important. Record everything, gather all the data we can. We need to understand how these Voidborn fight if we're going to have any chance against them." The bridge fell silent as they watched the brutal attack unfold. The Zoraks fought valiantly, but they were overwhelmed. Within hours, the outpost fell silent, its once proud structures now twisted and corrupted, pulsing with an sickly energy that made Lyra's skin crawl. As the horizon continued its journey to Earth, the weight of what they had witnessed settled over the crew. The threat they faced was evolving, becoming even more dangerous than they had initially believed. Lyra retreated to her ready room once more, needing a moment to collect her thoughts. She stared out at the stars streaking by, each one a potential battleground in the coming war. A soft chime announced Zoltar's presence. The Zorak's emissary entered, its normally impassive features showing signs of distress. "Captain Chen," it began, its mental voice somber. "What we witnessed, it changes things. The Void Eaters have never employed such tactics before. They are adapting, becoming more strategic. This makes them infinitely more dangerous." Lyra nodded, the implications clear. "We're not just facing mindless cosmic devourers anymore. We're up against an intelligent, evolving threat." Zoltar's form shimmered in agreement. "Indeed, the Zoraks have long believed that our advanced technology and strategic minds were our greatest assets against the Void Eaters. But now we need something more." Lyra finished the thought. "We need unpredictability, adaptability. We need humanity," Zoltar said, surprising Lyra with its directness. "Your species' greatest strength is your ability to innovate, to find solutions where none seem to exist. The High Council sees this now, more clearly than ever." Lyra felt a surge of determination. Yes, the threat they faced was terrifying, beyond anything humanity had ever encountered, but they wouldn't face it alone. And perhaps, just perhaps, the unique qualities of the human spirit, their creativity, their adaptability, their sheer stubborn refusal to give up, might be exactly what the galaxy needed in this darkest of hours. As the horizon raced towards Earth, carrying its warning of impending doom and fragile hope for survival, Lyra knew that the real battle was just beginning. The fate of not just humanity, but of all life in the galaxy would be decided in the coming months. The Void Eaters were coming, and humanity, ready or not, was about to take its place on the galactic stage. Unlikely alliance. The ESS horizon burst into Earth's solar system, its engines pushed beyond their limits. As they approached the familiar blue marble of their home planet, the crew's relief was palpable, but short-lived. They knew the news they carried would forever change the world they had left behind. Captain Lyra Chen stood before the United Earth Council, her holographic form projected into the grand chamber where Earth's leaders had gathered. She had just finished briefing them on the Void Eaters, the Zoraks, and the impending threat to not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. The chamber was silent, the weight of her words hanging heavy in the air. Then, chaos erupted, voices raised in disbelief, fear, and anger. "This is preposterous," one counselor shouted. "Cosmic devourers, alien alliances, it sounds like science fiction." Another voice cut through the din. "And yet, the evidence is before us. Captain Chen's record is impeccable, and the data provided by the Zoraks is unlike anything we've seen." Admiral Yuki Tanaka, head of Earth's defense forces, stepped forward. Her weathered face was grim as she addressed Lyra. Captain, assuming everything you've reported is accurate, how long do we have? Lyra's holographic form shimmered slightly as she responded. Based on their current rate of advance, less than 8 months before the Void Eaters reach our solar system, but their Voidborn vanguard could arrive much sooner. The rune fell silent once more as the reality of the situation sank in. 8 months to prepare for a threat beyond their comprehension. Council President Omar Mbiki's deep voice cut through the tension. What do you propose, Captain Chen? Lyra took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth. We need to form an alliance with the Zorax. Combine our strengths, our technologies, our ways of thinking. It's our best hope for survival. Her words were met with a mix of reactions. Some councillors nodded in agreement. Others scoffed at the idea of allying with an alien race they had only just learned existed. And why should we trust these Zorax? A skeptical voice called out. How do we know this isn't some elaborate ruse to conquer Earth? Zoltar, who had been waiting patiently, stepped into view of the holographic projector. The sight of the alien being caused a stir among the council members. Esteemed leaders of Earth, Zoltar's telepathic voice resonated through the chamber. We Zorax have no interest in conquest. Our civilization has stood for millennia as guardians of galactic order. But now we face a threat that we cannot overcome alone. We need humanity's unique qualities, your adaptability, your creativity, your indomitable spirit. President Mbeki leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. And what exactly would this alliance entail? Lyra stepped in. We propose a joint task force. The Zorax will provide us with advanced technology and knowledge of space far beyond our current understanding. In return, we offer our innovative thinking, our ability to find unconventional solutions. Admiral Tanaka nodded slowly. A combination of Zorax power and human ingenuity. It could work. The debate raged for hours. Earth's leaders argued, questioned, and deliberated. In the end, faced with the existential threat of the Void Eaters, they reached a decision. President Mbeki stood, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's future. Captain Chen, we hereby authorize the formation of this joint task force. You will lead humanity's efforts in this alliance. Admiral Tanaka will coordinate our defenses here on Earth. May whatever gods exist have mercy on us all. The next few months were a whirlwind of activity. The Horizon became the centerpiece of the newly formed Human Zorax Joint Task Force. Earth's best and brightest were recruited, working alongside Zorax scientists and strategists. Lyra found herself at the heart of it all, coordinating efforts, mediating disputes, and pushing both humans and Zorax to think beyond their usual boundaries. One particularly tense meeting stood out in her memory. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, Earth's leading physicist, was arguing heatedly with Krelix, a Zorax weapons expert. Your approach is too rigid, Elena exclaimed, her frustration evident. Yes, your quantum resonance cannons are powerful, but they're too slow to target the Voidborn ships we've seen in action. Krelix's skin pulsed with patterns of irritation. Our weapons have defended the galaxy for millennia. They are the pinnacle of efficient design. Lyra stepped in before the argument could escalate further. Both of you are right, and both of you are wrong. We need to think differently. Dr. Rodriguez, what if we combined the power of the Zorax cannons with the targeting systems from our latest fighter drones? Elena's eyes widened as she considered the possibility. The AI-driven predictive targeting. Yes, that could work. We'd need to dramatically upgrade the processing power, but with Zorax quantum computers. Krelix's colors shifted to a pattern Lyra had come to recognize as intrigue. An interesting proposition, unorthodox but potentially effective. This scene played out countless times across various aspects of their preparations. Human creativity and adaptability combined with Zorax power and knowledge, slowly but surely producing results that neither species could have achieved alone. Ensign Sarah Lee, working with a team of human and Zorax engineers, made a breakthrough in adapting Zorax shield technology for Earth's defense satellites. Dr. Mbake collaborated with Zorax biologists to develop new medical treatments that could help both species resist the corrupting influence of void energy. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Cultural clashes were frequent and sometimes severe. The Zorax's rigid hierarchy and emphasis on efficiency often conflicted with humanity's more flexible and emotionally driven approach. One particularly difficult moment came when a young human engineer, in his excitement over a breakthrough, attempted to hug a Zorax colleague. The Zorax, utterly unprepared for such physical contact, reacted instinctively with a defensive posture that nearly caused a diplomatic incident. Lyra found herself constantly mediating such misunderstandings, helping both species navigate the complexities of their newfound alliance. As the months passed, the first test of their combined efforts arrived sooner than anyone had hoped. A Voidborn scouting party was detected at the edge of the solar system. The newly formed joint fleet moved to intercept. Lyra watched from the bridge of the horizon, now upgraded with a mix of human and Zorax technology, as the battle unfolded. At first, it seemed their preparations had paid off. The combined fleet moved with a synchronicity that surprised even Lyra. Human ships darted nimbly between lumbering Zorax cruisers, their unorthodox maneuvers confusing the Voidborn. Zorax energy weapons, guided by human AA, struck with devastating accuracy. But the Voidborn were unlike any enemy they had faced before. As the battle progressed, the corrupted ships began to adapt, their forms twisting and changing to counter the Alliance's tactics. Their learning, Rage observed, his voice tense as he maneuvered the horizon through the chaotic battlefield, adapting to our strategies in real time. Lyra's mind raced. They needed something unexpected, something the Voidborn couldn't predict. Her eyes fell on the experimental weapon they had developed, a combination of Zorax quantum technology and human chaos theory algorithms. Ensign Lee charged the Q chaos cannon, Lyra ordered. Raj, bring us about. We're going to hit their flagship with everything we've got. The horizon swung around, diving towards the heart of the Voidborn fleet. Zorax cruisers and human fighters fell into formation behind them, providing cover fire. Two Chaos Cannon charged, Captain, Sarah reported, her voice steady despite the tension. Lyra took a deep breath. This weapon was untested in actual combat. It could be their salvation or their doom. Fire. A beam of swirling energy erupted from the horizon, striking the Voidborn flagship. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, reality itself seemed to warp around the enemy's ship. It twisted, folded in on itself, and then simply vanished. The effect rippled outward, catching nearby Voidborn ships in its wake. Within moments, half the enemy fleet had been erased from existence. The remaining Voidborn, faced with a weapon they couldn't comprehend or counter, retreated, vanishing into the depths of space. As the Alliance fleet regrouped, a cheer went up across the comms. Human and Zorax voices mingled in celebration of their first joint victory. But Lyra couldn't shake a feeling of unease. Yes, they had won this battle, but at what cost? The weapon they had used was barely understood, its long-term effects unknown. And this had been just a scouting party. The real test was yet to come. In the aftermath of the battle, Lyra sat in her ready room, composing her report to Earth Command and the Zorax High Council. A chime at her door interrupted her thoughts. "Enter," she called. Zoltar glided in, its form shimmering with colors Lyra had come to recognize as a mix of satisfaction and concern. "An impressive victory, Captain Chen," the Zorax emissary said. "Your species continues to surprise us." Lyra leaned back in her chair, feeling the weight of command more heavily than ever. "It was a joint effort, Zoltar. We couldn't have done it without Zorax technology." Perhaps Zoltar conceded, but it was human ingenuity that combined our quantum resonators with your chaos theory to create a weapon even the Voidborn couldn't adapt to. It is unsettling. Lyra raised an eyebrow. Unsettling. I thought the Zorax would approve of such an efficient weapon. Zoltar's colors shifted to deeper, more somber hues. Efficiency is valuable, yes, but what we witnessed, it goes beyond mere destruction. That weapon unmade reality itself, if only in a small area. The implications are troubling. Lyra nodded slowly, understanding the Zorax's concerns. They mirrored her own. We're in uncharted territory, Zoltar, fighting an enemy that consumes reality itself. We may need to push boundaries we never thought we'd cross. Indeed, Zoltar agreed, but we must be cautious. In our zeal to defeat the Void Eaters, we must not become like them. As Zoltar left, Lyra turned back to the viewport, staring out at the stars. The Alliance had proven its worth today, but at what cost? And would it be enough to face the true threat that was still to come? The Void Eaters were still out there, drawing ever closer. This victory, as sweet as it was just the beginning. The real test of the Human-Zorax alliance was yet to come, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. As the Horizons set course back to Earth, carrying news of their victory and the terrifying power of their new weapon, Lyra couldn't shake the feeling that they had opened a Pandora's box. In their quest to save the galaxy, what other lines would they have to cross? And in the end, would they still recognize themselves? The alliance had been forged in the heat of necessity. Now, it would be tested in ways none of them could have imagined. The battle against the Void Eaters was no longer just a fight for survival, but a battle for the very soul of both their species, the final battle. The combined Human-Zorax fleet hung in the inky blackness of space, a thin line of defense against the encroaching darkness. Captain Lyra Chen stood on the bridge of the ESS Horizon, now the flagship of humanity's contribution to the Alliance. The ship had been heavily modified, a fusion of human ingenuity and Zorax technology that represented the best of both civilizations. Status report, Lyra commanded, her voice steady despite the tension that filled the air. First Officer Raj Patel's fingers danced across his console. All ships reporting ready, Captain. The Zorax battle cruisers are in position, and our fighter squadrons are standing by. Dr. Mbik, who had taken on the role of Chief Science Officer for this mission, looked up from his station. The quantum sensors are active, Captain. We should be able to detect the Void Eaters the moment they enter the system. Lyra nodded, her eyes fixed on the main view screen. They had chosen this star system as their battleground, a place to make their stand before the Void Eaters could reach more populated areas. It was a calculated risk, but one they had to take. Any word from Earth, she asked. Ensign Sarah Lee, her young face set with determination, responded. The last transmission came through an hour ago. Earth's defenses are as ready as they'll ever be, but they're counting on us to stop the Void Eaters here. No pressure, Lyra thought wryly. Just the fate of Earth, the Zorax homeworld, and countless other civilizations resting on their shoulders. A flash of light announced the arrival of Zoltar on the bridge. The Zorax emissary's form shimmered with patterns that Lyra had learned to read as a mix of anticipation and concern. The High Council sends word. Zoltar's mental voice resonated in their minds. How long-range sensors have detected the Void Eaters. They will be here within the hour. A hush fell over the bridge. This was it. The moment they had been preparing for over the past months. Everything they had learned, every piece of technology they had developed, every strategy they had devised, it would all be put to the test. Lyra took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. She opened a channel to the entire fleet. This is Captain Chen to all ships. The enemy approaches. We've trained for this, we've prepared for this. Human and Zorax, we stand together against a threat to all life in the galaxy. Remember your training, trust in each other, and no matter what happens, don't give up. The Void Eaters think they can simply consume us. Let's show them that life fights back. A chorus of affirmations echoed across the comms, human and Zorax voices mingling in a cacophony of determination. As Lyra closed the channel, Zoltar approached her. An inspiring speech, Captain. You have a gift for motivating diverse groups. Lyra managed a small smile. Let's hope it's enough. The next 45 minutes was some of the longest of Lyra's life. The fleet hung in space, a fragile barrier against the coming storm. Crews ran final system checks, pilots meditated in their cockpits, and gunners calibrated their weapons one last time. Then it began. Multiple contacts. Dr. Mbate called out, his voice tight with tension. Void signatures detected at the edge of the system. The main view screen flickered to life, showing a sight that chilled Lyra to her core. A writhing mass of darkness was approaching, so vast it seemed to blot out the stars themselves. Around it swarmed thousands of void-born ships, twisted and corrupted vessels that moved with unnatural grace. All ships, battle stations, Lyra commanded, her voice calm despite the fear threatening to overwhelm her. Execute Battle Plan Alpha. The fleet sprang into action. Zorax cruisers moved into formation, their powerful shields linking to create a wall of energy. Human ships darted between them, smaller and more agile, ready to exploit any weakness in the enemy's approach. The Void Eaters struck first. Tendrils of pure darkness lashed out, seeming to bend space itself as they reached for the ally fleet. Where they touched, reality warped and twisted. Evasive maneuvers. Lyra shouted as one such tendril headed straight for the horizon. Rage's hands flew across the helm controls, the ship diving and rolling to avoid the attack. All around them, the battle erupted into chaos. Zorax energy weapons lanced out, guided by human A targeting systems, striking at the void-born ships with devastating accuracy. Human fighters swarmed around the larger void constructs, peppering them with quantum-tipped missiles that phased in and out of reality, bypassing conventional defenses. For a moment, it seemed like their preparations had paid off. The combined fleet was holding its own, their unified tactics keeping the Void Eaters at bay. But then the tide began to turn. A Zorax battle cruiser, its shields overwhelmed by repeated attacks, was enveloped by a tendril of void. Lyra watched in horror as the massive ship seemed to crumple in on itself, crushed by forces beyond comprehension. In the blink of an eye, thousands of lives were simply erased. "We're losing ships faster than anticipated," Raj reported, his voice strained as he maneuvered the horizon through the battlefield. "The Void Eaters are adapting to our tactics." Lyra's mind raced. They needed something unexpected, something the Void Eaters couldn't predict or counter. Her eyes fell on the experimental Q Chaos Cannon, the weapon that had turned the tide in their previous encounter with the Voidborn. "Ensign Lee, charge the Q Chaos Cannon," Lyra ordered. "We're going to hit the main Void Eater mass with everything we've got." Sarah's hands flew across her console. "Cannon charging, Captain. But there's a problem. The power requirements are off the charts. We can fire it, but it'll drain our shields completely. We'll be defenseless." Lyra hesitated for a split second. It was a massive risk, but they were running out of options. "Do it. Raj, plot us a course straight for the heart of that thing. All power to forward shields and the Q Chaos Cannon." The horizon surged forward, plunging into the chaotic heart of the battle. Void tendrils lashed at them, void-born ships swarmed around them, but Raj's piloting skills kept them just out of reach. "In range in 10 seconds, Sarah called out, her voice tense with concentration. "All ships, this is Captain Chen," Lyra broadcast to the fleet. "We're making a run on the main Void Eater mass. Cover us." The response was immediate. Human and Zorax ships alike broke from their formations, laying down a withering barrage of cover fire. Fighters swooped in, drawing away void-born attackers. A Zorax battle cruiser moved to flank the horizon, its massive bulk absorbing hits, meant for the smaller human ship. 5 seconds. Lyra gripped the arms of her command chair, her knuckles white. This was it. Everything rode on this moment. Fire. A beam of swirling, chaotic energy erupted from the horizon, striking the heart of the Void Eater mass. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, reality itself seemed to scream. The Void Eater writhed, its form twisting and contorting in ways that hurt to look at. The beam from the Two Chaos Cannon continued to pour into it, a stream of pure chaos fighting against the entropy of the void. On the Horizon's bridge, alarms blared as systems overloaded. Shields are down, Raj shouted over the noise. Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. But Lyra's eyes were fixed on the view screen, watching as the impossibly huge form of the Void Eater began to unravel. It was like watching creation in reverse, the very fabric of space-time coming apart at the seams. Then, with a silent flash that seemed to ripple through the very core of reality, the Void Eater simply ceased to be. One moment it was there, a vast, world-ending threat, and the next, nothing. In the silence that followed, Lyra barely dared to breathe. Had it worked? Had they actually done it? Captain, Dr. Meek's voice was filled with awe. The Void Eater signatures, they're gone. All of them. A cheer went up across the comms, human and Zorak's voices mingling in celebration. They had done it. They had faced down the incomparable foe and emerged victorious. But as the initial euphoria faded, Lyra felt a deep unease settle over her. She stared at the empty space where the Void Eater had been, remembering Zoltar's words after their first use of the Two Chaos Cannon. What had they truly done here today? Had they saved the galaxy, or had they unleashed something potentially even more dangerous? As if sensing her thoughts, Zoltar approached. A great victory, Captain Chen, the Zorak's emissary said, its mental voice tinged with a mix of awe and concern. But at what cost? Lyra nodded slowly. The Void Eaters are gone, but we used a weapon we barely understand. We unmade a piece of reality itself. What are the long-term consequences of that? Before Zoltar could respond, Sarah's voice cut through the moment. Captain, we're detecting some kind of anomaly where the Void Eater was destroyed. All eyes turned to the main view screen. Where the vast darkness had been, there was now a swirling vortex of energy, pulsing with colors that shouldn't exist. What is it? Lyra asked, dreading the answer. Dr. Meek shook his head, his eyes wide as he studied the readings. I'm not sure, Captain. It's like a tear in the fabric of space-time, a wound in reality itself. Zoltar's form shimmered with patterns of deep concern. We may have defeated one threat only to create another. The galaxy will need our continued alliance to understand and contain this new phenomenon. Lyra nodded grimly. The battle was over, but their work, it seemed, was far from done. As she looked around at her crew, at the mix of human and Zorak's ships surrounding them, she realized that this was just the beginning of a new chapter. Send word to Earth and to the Zorak's High Council, she ordered. The Void Eaters have been defeated, but we face a new challenge. We'll need our best scientists, our most creative thinkers. This anomaly could be a threat, or it could be an opportunity. Either way, we face it together. As the fleet began to regroup, tending to their wounded and assessing the damage, Lyra couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and apprehension. They had saved the galaxy from consumption, but at what cost? And what new wonders or horrors waited for them beyond that swirling vortex? One thing was certain, the alliance between humans and Zoraks, forged in the heat of an existential threat, would be needed more than ever in the days to come. As Lyra watched the anomaly pulse and swirl on the view screen, she knew that their greatest adventures, and perhaps their greatest challenges, were still ahead of them. The Void Eaters were gone, but the battle for the future of the galaxy was far from over, and humanity, with its newfound place among the stars, would be at the forefront of whatever came next. A new era. The Grand Assembly Hall of the newly constructed Galactic Cooperation Center on Earth's moon was filled to capacity. Representatives from Earth, the Zorlax Empire, and a dozen other alien races that had come out of hiding after the Void Eaters' defeat sat in tiered seats surrounding a central podium. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of excitement, apprehension, and hope. Captain Lyra Chen stood at the podium, her dress uniform crisp and adorned with new medals, a testament to the crucial role she had played in humanity's survival and newfound place in the galactic community. Besides her stood Zoltar, its iridescent form shimmering with patterns that Lyra had learned to interpret as a mix of pride and nervous anticipation. Representatives of Earth, of the Zorax Empire, and of all sentient species who have joined us today, Lyra began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. 1 year ago, we faced a threat that nearly unmade reality itself. The Void Eaters seemed unstoppable, their hunger insatiable, but against all odds we prevailed. A murmur of agreement rippled through the audience. The memory of that terrifying time was still fresh in everyone's minds. Our victory came at a great cost. Lyra continued, her tone somber. We lost brave souls from many worlds. We were forced to use weapons and techniques that pushed the boundaries of science and ethics. And we created something that we still don't fully understand. The main holographic display activated, showing an image of the swirling anomaly that had been created in the wake of the Void Eater's destruction. Even after a year of study, it remained a source of both fascination and concern for scientists across the galaxy. But our victory also gave us something precious, a future. And more than that, it gave us each other. The alliance between humans and Zorax, forged in the heat of battle, has blossomed into something none of us could have predicted. Lyra gestured to Zoltar, who stepped forward. Its mental voice resonated through the hall, a sound that no longer seemed alien to the assembled representatives. The Zorax have stood as guardians of galactic order for millennia. Zoltar began. We believed our advanced technology and strategic minds were all that was needed to maintain peace. The Void Eaters proved us wrong. It was only through cooperation with humans, by combining our strengths and overcoming our differences, that we were able to triumph. Lyra nodded, picking up the thread, and it's in that spirit of cooperation that we gather here today. The threat of the Void Eaters brought us together out of necessity. Now, we choose to stay together out of hope for a brighter future. She paused, looking out over the assembled representatives. Humans sat next to Zorax, and a dozen other alien species mingled among them. It was a sight that would have been unimaginable just a year ago. Today, we propose the formation of the Galactic Cooperative, Lyra announced. Not an empire, not a federation, but a cooperative. A place where all species can work together, learn from each other, and face the challenges of the universe as one. The hall erupted in a mix of excited chatter and concerned murmurs. This was a bold proposal, one that would reshape the political landscape of the known galaxy. As the initial reaction died down, a human representative stood. Captain Chen, while the idea is admirable, how can we be sure this cooperative will work? Our species are so different, our cultures often at odds. Before Lyra could respond, a Zorax counselor chimed in, its mental voice tinged with what Lyra recognized as amusement. A year ago, we would have said the same about humans and Zorax. Yet here we stand, not just allies, but friends. Lyra smiled, grateful for the support. Exactly. Our differences are our strength. The Void Eaters nearly defeated the Zorax because they couldn't adapt quickly enough. They nearly overwhelmed humanity because we lacked the advanced technology to fight them effectively. But together, we were unstoppable. She gestured to the image of the anomaly still hovering above them. And we'll need that strength of diversity as we face new challenges. This anomaly represents both a potential threat and an incredible opportunity. Early studies suggest it could be a gateway to other dimensions, perhaps even other universes. We'll need the combined knowledge and creativity of all our species to explore it safely. The assembly hall buzzed with excitement at this revelation. The implications were staggering. An alien representative that Lyra recognized as Exinta, a species known for their cautious nature, stood up. This all sounds wonderful, Captain Chen, but what about the practical aspects? How would this galactic cooperative be governed? How would resources be shared? Lyra nodded, appreciating the pragmatic question. Excellent points. We've developed a preliminary structure that we believe balances the needs and strengths of all involved species. She activated a new holographic display showing a complex organizational chart. The cooperative would be led by a council with representatives from all member species. Decisions would be made by consensus, with safeguards in place to prevent any one species or group from dominating. Zoltar stepped in, adding, "We propose using Zorax megastructures as neutral meeting grounds and research facilities. Humanity's adaptability and diplomatic skills would be crucial in managing day-to-day operations and mediating disputes." The next few hours were filled with intense discussion and debate. Representatives raised concerns, offered suggestions, and gradually, a sense of possibility began to take hold. As the session drew to a close, Laura took the podium one last time. "We've heard your concerns and your hopes. We don't expect everyone to join the Galactic Cooperative immediately. Take this proposal back to your governments, discuss it with your people. But remember this, together we achieved the impossible. Imagine what we could accomplish if we chose to work together not just in times of crisis, but always." The assembly adjourned, with representatives breaking into small groups, continuing their discussions as they filed out of the hall. Laura felt a wave of exhaustion wash over her as the adrenaline of the moment faded. Zoltar approached her, its skin shimmering with patterns she now recognized as pride and affection. "You did well, Lyra. Your species has a gift for inspiring others, for making them see possibilities where before there were only obstacles." Lyra smiled, touched by the use of her first name. Their relationship had evolved so much over the past year. "We all played our part, Zoltar. This is just the beginning." As they left the assembly hall, they were met by a familiar group, Raj, Sarah, and Dr. Mbake, along with a handful of Zorax scientists they had worked closely with over the past year. Raj grinned, his normally reserved demeanor breaking into excitement. "So, how did it go? Are we about to become galactic citizens?" Lyra chuckled. "It's a start. There's still a lot of work to be done, but I think we've got them interested." Dr. Mbake nodded thoughtfully. "It's remarkable how far we've come. A year ago, we didn't even know the Zorax existed. Now we're proposing a galactic government together." Speaking of remarkable progress, Sarah chimed in, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. "You won't believe the latest data we've collected from the anomaly. It's easier if I show you." The group made their way to a nearby laboratory, one of many that had sprung up to study the aftereffects of the battle with the Void Eaters. Sarah pulled up a holographic display showing a swirling mass of energy that Lyra recognized as the anomaly. "We've been sending probes into the anomaly," Sarah explained. "Most of them disappear without a trace, but this one..." She manipulated the controls, and the image zoomed in on a particular section of the anomaly. This one sent back data. The display changed, showing a series of images that made Lyra's breath catch in her throat. Alien landscapes, strange celestial phenomena, and glimpses of what looked like cities that defied the laws of physics as they knew them. Another universe. Lyra breathed, her mind reeling at the implications. One of the Zorax scientists, its name roughly translating to stargazer, chimed in. "We believe so. The physical constants in these images are slightly different from our own. It's beyond anything we've ever encountered." Laura looked around at the group, seeing her own sense of wonder reflected in their faces, whether human or Zorax. This was why they had fought so hard, why they had risked everything. Not just to survive, but for this, the chance to explore, to discover, to push the boundaries of knowledge. "Well," Lyra said, a smile spreading across her face, "I guess we know what the Galactic Cooperative's first major project will be." Zoltar's form shimmered with what Lyra now recognized as excitement. Indeed, the exploration of new universes. It will require all of our combined knowledge and skills. As the group began to excitedly discuss the possibilities, Laura found herself stepping back, taking in the scene. Humans and Zorax, working side by side, their earlier prejudices and misunderstandings forgotten in the face of this new frontier. She thought back to that moment on the bridge of the horizon, facing down the Void Eaters, feeling the weight of all existence on her shoulders. They had come so far since then. They had faced their fears, overcome impossible odds, and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. The galaxy they had fought to save was now open to them, full of possibilities they were only beginning to understand. And beyond that, other universes waited, promising adventures beyond imagination. As Lyra rejoined the discussion, adding her own insights to the excited conversation, she felt a profound sense of hope. The road ahead would not be easy. There would be challenges, setbacks, and dangers they couldn't yet foresee. But they would face them together, human and Zorax, and whatever other allies they might make along the way. The Void Eaters had threatened to consume all of existence. Instead, they had inadvertently opened the door to a multitude of new existences. In trying to end everything, they had given them a new beginning. Lara Chen, once a starship captain, now a pivotal figure in galactic politics, looked out the laboratory window at the Earth hanging in the sky above the moon. So much had changed, and yet their home remained, a blue marble suspended in space, a reminder of where they had come from and all they had fought to protect. The future stretched out before them, vast and unknown. But this time, they wouldn't face it alone. Together, they will explore new worlds, unlock the secrets of the universe, and perhaps even other universes, and write the next chapter in the grand story of life itself. As the excited chatter of humans and Zorax filled the room, their voices mingling in a harmony that would have once seemed impossible, Lyra smiled. The Void Eaters had sought to end all stories. Instead, they had set the stage for the greatest story yet to be told. And Lyra Chen, along with her human and Zorax friends, couldn't wait to see how it would unfold. The end, or perhaps just the beginning.